Raise your hand if you've ever invested in your education. Or maybe you're just here to find out how the heck I spent 10 grand on a plastic name tag. Either way, thank you for choosing to spend the next few minutes with me. I know you could be doing a million other things right now and you have decided to watch this video instead. And I am very appreciative of that. And also thank you for liking and commenting and subscribing to my videos. It truly does mean a lot to me when I know that you guys like what I'm putting out there. On today's vlog, I am going to be sharing with you my journey to becoming a Redken artist, what a Redken artist even is, what are the requirements, why would you even care to be one. I get asked all the time about the process, so I'm hoping that this video can be a resource to myself as well as other artists to send their inquiries to, and also for me to look back on and remember where it all started. My name is Shannon Van Fleet, and being a Redken artist was always a dream of mine. I just never thought that I was worthy enough to be one. They were always the cool kids at shows. They always dressed in black. They always looked super polished, and I just never felt like I was in the same caliber. Over time, I got to know several of the artists on a personal level and realized that they were normal stylists just like me with the same struggles that I have behind the chair. They celebrate the same wins that I do, and I realized that it wasn't as out of my reach as I thought, so I went for it. Side note, if you are a Redken artist already and are watching this video, then you recognize what I just did there. And if you're not in the Redken Artist Club yet, you will recognize what I just did there after phase 1 of induction. So let's quickly go over a brief definition of a Redken artist. Redken artists are educators. We are facilitators of advanced education on behalf of Redken Fifth Avenue for professional hairstylists to provide continued education, whether that be to renew your license based on your state's requirements or just to better yourself as a stylist in general. We teach in salons, private classes, we teach at beauty supply stores, we teach at shows. Some of us stay local, some of us travel the nation, and some of us even travel globally. Anytime you see models at a show, they were done by Redken artists. Anytime you see models on posters or on our marketing material, those models were done by Redken artists as well. I don't want this to be a super formal video. I just want to have a conversation with you. I actually had a whole thing written out, but I just set it down and I'm just gonna proceed as if we were chatting in real life. So I just defined what a Redken artist is, what we do, and if you're continuing to watch this, you probably feel like it sounds like a pretty good gig. So you might want to know what your first step is. So let's first start from the beginning and talk about the requirements that you're required to have before you can apply to be a Redken artist. So in my personal experience, when I went through the program, I know this may change in the future, but the requirements were you had to be a licensed cosmetologist for 2 years. You had to have completed the pillar programs, which is there's a specialist program, which is a 4-day class, basically an overview of all of the brand, kind of diving down deep. More than what you would get from like our standard product knowledge classes that you would take in store. It's kind of a more structured program, a more like scuba diving program down deep into all of our products. So you would have to take the specialist program. It's a 4-day class. It is $595, at least at this time. You would also need to take one of our authority programs, which is another 4-day, $595 program. And the authority programs are split up into different disciplines. So the specialist program is kind of like an overview of everything. The authority programs are more targeted. So we have a design authority, a color authority, a blonding authority, and a finishing authority, at least at this moment in time. That is, open to change. As time passes, they may add more, they may take some away, but those are the ones available currently. And you also need to be Redken Color certified, which is a big test that we have. It's a very prestigious title. Anybody who has taken the test can absolutely attest to that. If you're already design certified, that's great, but we want you to be color certified before you can become a Redken artist. So those are the requirements. 2 years licensed, specialist, authority, and color certified. Those are the requirements before you should even really apply. You can apply without having all of those as long as they're in the works, as long as you're working towards those, because they do want you to have those before you actually go out and start teaching. Okay, so let's say you are working towards all of that, you have all of those requirements, now what do you do? Now you get to email your director of field education. There are 2 nationwide. Also, please don't mind my nail polish. Oh, it's awful. It's so awful. Okay, so there are 2 nationwide. I will link down below where you can find their email based on your state, who is your director of field education. And all you have to do is email them and say, hey, what's up? My name is Shannon. I'm interested in applying for your next round of artist inductions. What do I need to do? I received back a potential artist form, basically a contact form. She had me put my name, my address, my salon information, what retail lines we carry, what color lines we carry, and if I was certified or not. Just basic things like that. So I filled that out, sent it back to her, and then she let me know when the next round of inductions was happening and what I needed for my audition packet. At my personal point in time, I needed to have a headshot, a bio, a resume, 3 letters of recommendation, 3 months of salon statistics, so how many clients you see, how many of those are referrals versus new clients, retention rate, sales, things like that, because I want to make sure you're a good stylist. And I also needed a 30-minute video of myself demoing a technique, as well as kind of defining why I want to be a Redken artist, what my intentions are. Just for reference, I actually made my application packet on a site called Canva. If you want to hunt me down on Facebook, just search Shannon Van Fleet Redken Artist or something like that and message me through my page. I will send you the exact link to my actual application packet so you can kind of gain inspiration from it and kind of see what all I put in there. So once you have your packet all together, you have everything you need in your little packet, you have your video recorded, and you're ready to send it in. You will send it to your director of field education, the same lady that you've been emailing this whole time. You'll send it to her and she will review it. And the next step is a phone interview. So she will call you, you'll set up a time together. She will call you and talk for about 30 minutes. She'll ask you some basic Redken knowledge questions and just kind of talk about your goals and your intentions as a Redken artist. From my understanding, every applicant got a phone call, not just the ones that were like on their way to make it. Everybody that submitted an application got a phone call. That was one of the questions that I asked my director of field education because I was curious. And she said that everybody does get a phone call. It is also a good way for them to gauge your personality, so when they set you up with a roommate, you don't like hate each other. So after the phone interview, that is all you can do. Now it is just up to them and making their final decisions. So you will either receive a phone call of congratulations or a phone call of I'm sorry. Lucky for me, I got a phone call of congratulations. So after I received the phone call, I got an email, and the email laid out what my induction dates were. There were 3 phases of induction, by the way. The first one was in New York, and it was all about facilitation, personal grounding, kind of getting over your stage fright, things like that. The second phase was in Tampa, Florida, and it was all about color, which was amazing. Favorite phase for sure. And then phase 3 was in Tampa again, and it was all about finishing and kind of bringing the whole show together. In the email that she sent me, she had the dates of the induction, the cost of like the hotel and the induction tuition, and also like what to pack and how to dress. And I didn't have my roommate information on there just yet. They were still working on that, but we found out our roommates a couple weeks later. In between our phases of induction, when we were back home, we were to shadow classes that were going on around us from Redken artists that had already graduated the program. So that was kind of like our homework. It's an FYI, there were 3 phases of induction. I already told you the locations, and they were each 4 days long. You did have to pay for your own travel there and your own hotel. and there was also a tuition associated with the induction. So let's go ahead and add all that up. So we have the specialty program or the specialist program, the authority program, the certification. Those are all about $600. The tuition to the artist induction was $300 for each phase. So that total is close to $3,000. The thing that gets you is the travel. So just strictly tuition is $3,000. So that's saying, like, I mean, you live like in the town that all these things are happening, which is impossible because one phase is in New York and one phase is in Tampa. But let's say you didn't have to travel, that's all you would have to shell out would be the $3,000, and that's really not that bad. The travel is what gets you. I'm in the Midwest, so this is going to be different for everyone. Obviously, the ones traveling from California, their flights are going to be a little bit more than the ones on the East Coast. But for me, all of my travel and my hotel stays, let me tell you, a hotel, 4 nights in a hotel in Manhattan is not cheap. So just be aware of that. But everything totaled, it cost me about $10,000, this investment did. Was it worth it? Yeah, absolutely. But that's subjective. It was worth it to me. Now, I want to touch on really quickly about why I feel that it costs so much to be a Redken artist. And I don't know if this is true or not. This is just my thinking of it. I feel like it makes sense, but we'll see what you think. I'm sure you'll tell me in the comments what you think. So when you're, let's be a stylist for a minute and relate it back to Redken artistry later. So when you're a stylist in the salon and you are super busy, you're in high demand, there are so many clients coming at you, you can't take them on. What do? You raise your prices, right? Some clients will fall off, and that's fine, but the ones who really want to be with you and truly know your value are going to pay the extra amount to stay on your books, right? Bringing that back to being a Redken artist, Redken is in high demand to work for. Being a Redken artist is a pretty cool gig, and a lot of people want to be part of it. So for Redken, they kind of upped the stakes to weed out the ones that didn't really care as much and filter in the ones who were willing to make the sacrifice and the investment, and those were the ones that were going to show up. We were willing to invest in them because we knew in the long run they were going to invest in us too. I hope this video was helpful. If you have any other questions for me, feel free to hunt me down on Facebook and shoot me a message. I feel like I answered pretty much all the questions that I had as I was going through this process. I feel like I answered all of that in this video, but if you have other questions, like I said, don't be shy. I mean, I'm only a Facebook message away. So thank you all for watching, and we'll chat later. Bye.